All right, so the first thing I want to do here is I want to scan through every single column and determine that it's the right column type. So we know the ID is going to be a text, so is the name, region. The city is going to be a text as well. The state's going to be a text. The company, there's no issues there. We actually don't even need this parent company ID, so we can probably remove this column. Now the downside is, though, if you remove a column and it's saved and stored within Power Query as a step, then it's going to always search for that column. So keep that in mind, though, is if your data changes and it does not present this column the next time around, it's going to be like, hey, how am I supposed to delete something if it doesn't exist? So just keep that in mind as you're moving forward and you're determining what you do and don't need within your table. But since it's data static, I'm going to go ahead and delete it. And now we have no issues here. The role is all going to be text. The contracts, I'll go ahead and scan through this. Everything that's a date is a date. We'll go ahead and make this a currency. So we just adjusted that to a value. And that's going to be a text as well. And this one, we can just make it a date, not a date and time. So we don't actually need the time. And then actually, let me back up a step. So when I went to the company and I deleted my column, I want to go ahead and actually identify what I did here. So it shows I removed columns. You can go into Advanced Editor as well and read it, right? But not everything is truly like human readable on the eye, even though Microsoft does make it very easy to interpret and understand. Not everybody can pick this up easily, and that's okay. So what we want to do is put comments in here. And we necessarily don't want to always write directly in here. So what I'll do is I'll cancel this, and I'll go ahead and right-click, and I'll go to Properties. And now what Properties does is it allows me to put in comments associated to this exact step that I did. So you can essentially describe in a sentence format exactly what actions you took to explain to the developer that this is exactly what you did so that there's no confusion as somebody updates this or adopts this. So I'll say deleted the parent company column, and I'll just say non-applicable. And once I press OK, you're going to then see a little iCard here. And once you hover over the iCard, you can see exactly what the person wrote. Now, if you don't want to do that, or you want to have multiple options as well, you can go back to the Advanced Editor. And once you're in the Advanced Editor, you can see in green your comments. Now, this is the way you can write your comments too, is by that double slash, and then it won't actually generate any code or anything like that. It's just a way to write comments within Power Query. So this will tell you exactly what action was taken before the step was even occurring. So you can see deleted the parent company, and the next line shows you exactly how that was done via Power Query. So this is just a good practice, right? It allows you as a developer to build insights into your code so that as you iterate upon it, you want to refresh yourself, remind yourself of what you did, or you want to give a refresh and a reminder to your team, or if somebody owns this product later down the road, it's just a quick way to understand exactly what was done over time. So now I'll go into contracts and do the same exact thing. Now you can change the step name as well. I do not recommend it simply because Power BI does have a very good way of identifying exactly what was done in a very simplistic fashion. So you know the sequence that it was done in, and the name itself is just easier to interpret. And if you put in a custom name, what it's going to do is create confusion, especially if you have more seasoned developers. They might have to click on the iCard for every single thing. Whereas if you leave that by default, you only have to look at the iCard or Power Query to look at the description for those people that want insights. So for here, I'm going to say dates no longer have times, and the salary was changed to a currency value. And there we have our iCard. So next up, we have sales items. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to change the bill date. We're going to make this a date only. We're going to add a new step. Same thing here. We're going to make this a fixed decimal value. And now we have that. Date no longer holds time. And revenue was changed to currency. Now we'll go to current personnel. Now I'm just scanning through everything just so we can see what we have. So it looks like salary, I'll have to mess with that here. Start date, I'll have to mess with that. The dates in general. It looks like everything else is fine. So go ahead and change the date for this one. We'll add a new step. And the reason I add a new step is because I want to see exactly everything that was done in sequence. Now, the downside here is that it doesn't make it as efficient and create the new step. So Power BI has to do something else after already changing the type as a default step. But if you want to optimize it, you can do that. You can adjust the current step. But I like to see everything in sequence. So that's just a personal preference. Now there's a bunch of nulls here once I change it to a date. That doesn't actually hurt anything. It's just a value saying, hey, there's nothing here, but these dates are here. So I'm just going to fill in the blank. No harm there at all. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. And then we have dates here as well. So we're going to just change that. And then we're going to change this to a fixed decimal value. And there we go. And then just to make my life a little bit easier, what I'll do is I'll go into properties for the previous one. I'll go back to current personnel and go properties here. And then I'll just control V. And then now we have the same exact instructions. Now future hires, we can do the same exact thing here. So just going from left to right. We're going to do a fixed decimal value. We're going to add a new step. We're going to change it to a date. Date here as well. Properties. And there we are. And same thing for losses. Now we'll go to positions. Let's see if there's anything that we have to do here. Now, filled and vacant, we actually probably don't even need these columns right now. Let's remove those completely. And we'll just put a note in here. Remove filled and vacant due to empty values. So it looks like everything in Power Query, for the most part, is done. We want to make sure we save. We want to make sure we apply as well. And then I'm also OCD, so this is just something I do personally, is I make sure everything is alphabetical, and just so it reads easier. Now you probably noticed something already, which is the current personnel, and we mentioned it earlier as well. Current personnel and losses are the same exact table construct. And this allows us to simulate, what if the current personnel didn't even have that data? What would we do? Where would we get it from? And that would be the losses table. And then honestly, I could go into current personnel. I could delete the projected end date and attrition reason and simply only extract it from losses. But since I'm not even looking at these columns in current personnel, because I'm only looking at it in losses, there's no harm here. And I could merge queries as well. I could bring in those elements into one master table, but it's unnecessary, especially if you have a distinct column that already has a relationship, so that those values are just going to be called upon once you start projecting your data onto your canvas. All right, so it looks like we're done with everything in Power BI. And if we ever have to go back into it, we'll dive back in, we'll iterate upon some things, and then go from there. But for now, what we'll do is close out of Power Query, and then go into Table View, and then start adjusting our columns from there.